Hello YouTube, it's CN Maritime History. You're back after the video, and today I'm talking about the SS Sultana, the greatest maritime disaster in United States history. The SS Sultana was a Mississippi River side-wheel steamboat that exploded on April 27, 1865, and the greatest maritime disaster in U.S. history. An estimated 1,800 of its 2,427 passengers died when three of the ship's four boilers exploded, and it sank near Memphis, Tennessee. This disaster was overshadowed in the press by other recent events, such as John Wilkes Booth's assassination of President Lincoln, which happened the day before, on April 26th. The wooden steamship was constructed in 1863 by the John Luther Ray Shipyard in Cincinnati, and intended for the lower Mississippi cotton trade. Registering 1,719 tons, the steamer normally carried a crew of 85. For 2 years, it ran a regular route between St. Louis and New Orleans, recently commissioned to carry troops. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty warm on the Sultana the night it happened. Under the command of Captain J.C. Mason of St. Louis, Sultana left New Orleans on April 21st, 1865, with 75 to 100 cabin passengers, deck passengers, and numerous head of livestock. But what it means is that 75 to 100 were able to fit in the cabins. And then, of course, there's the part of the 75 to 100 were the cabins. The other part of the 75 to 100 passengers were sleeping on deck. They were packed like sardines in a can. And numerous head of livestock bound for a market in St. Louis. At Vicksburg, it stopped for a series of hasty repairs to the boilers and to take on more passengers. Rather than have a bad boiler replaced, a small patch repair was made to reinforce the leaking area. And this is probably what caused it. A section of bulged boiler plate was removed, and a patch of lesser thickness than the parent plate that was riveted in its place. This repair took about 1 day, whereas a complete replacement of the boiler would have taken about 3 days. During its time in port, men tried to muscle, bribe, and threaten their way on board until the ship was bursting at the seams as soldiers. More than 2,000 men crowded aboard. So this is after the 75 to 100 already crowded. The other 2,000 decided to hop on. Most of the new passengers were Union soldiers, chiefly from Ohio, and just released from Confederate prison camps such as Kahama and Andersonville. Sorry, my cough again. The U.S. government had contracted with Sultana to transport these former POWs back to their homes. With a legal capacity of only 376, it was severely overcrowded. Many of the passengers had been weakened by their incarceration and associated illnesses. Passengers were packed in every available berth, and the overflow was so severe to the decks were to be packed full of people. If you want to see another example of that, look up Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth during World War II. You will see their decks are covered in people. The cause of the explosion was a leaky and poorly repaired steam boiler. There was reason to believe allowable working steam pressure was exceeded in an attempt to overcome the Spring River current. The boiler, or boilers, gave way when the steamer was 79 miles north of Memphis at 2 a.m. The enormous explosion flung some of the passengers on deck into the water and destroyed a large section of the ship, as you can see here. Hot coals scattered by the explosion soon turned the remaining superstructure into an inferno, the glare of which was visible as far as Memphis. And Memphis was 7 to 9 miles away, but the glare was still rather visible. The first boat on the scene was the southbound steamer Bostonia II, which arrived at about 3 a.m. an hour after the explosion, and overtook the burning wreck to rescue scores of survivors. The hulk of the Sultana drifted to the west bank of the river and sank at around dawn near Mound City in present-day Marion, Arkansas. Other vessels joined the rescue, including the steamers Arkansas, Jenny Lind, Essex, and the Navy's side-wheel gunboat USS Highland, manned by volunteers. The ship's regular crew had been discharged days before. And this is the USS Tyrant's crew, not the Sultana's. Passengers who survived the initial explosion had to risk their lives in the icy spring runoff of the Mississippi River or burn with the ship. Many died of drowning or hypothermia, as most of them, because of their illnesses or muscle weakness, could not swim very well. Some survivors were plucked from trees along the Arkansas shore. Bodies of victims continue to be found downriver for months, some as far as Vicksburg. Many bodies were never recovered. Sultana's officers, including Captain Mason, were among those who perished. About 500 survivors, many with horrible burns, were transported to hospitals in Memphis. Up to 300 of them died later from burns or exposure. Newspaper accounts indicated the people of Memphis had sympathy for the victims, despite the fact that they had recently been enemies. The Chicago Op Troop staged a benefit. Crew of the Essex raised $1,000, and the mayor took in 3 survivors. Monuments and historical markers to the Sultan and its victims have been erected at Memphis, Muncie, Indiana, Marion, Vicksburg, Cincinnati, Knoxville, Hillsdale, Michigan, and Mansfield, Ohio. No exact death toll is known. Estimates range from 1,300 to 1,900. Official count by the United States Customs Service was 1,800. Final estimates of survivors are between 700 and 800, and many of the dead were interred at the Memphis National Cemetery. This is one of the monuments to the Sultana. And this one, I think, is in Memphis, but I'm not sure. The official cause of the Sultana disaster was determined to be mismanagement of water levels in the boiler, exacerbated by the fact that it was severely overcrowded and top-heavy. As the steamship made its way north following the twists and turns of the river, it listed severely to one side than the other. Its 4 boilers were interconnected with each other and mounted side by side, so that if the ship tipped sideways, water would tend to run out of the highest boiler. With the fire still going against the empty boiler, this created hot spots. When the ship tipped the other way, water rushing back into the empty boiler would hit the hot spots and flash instantly to steam, creating a sudden surge in pressure. The effect of careening could have been minimized by maintaining high water levels in the boilers. The official inquiry found that the ship's boilers exploded due to the combined effects of careening, a low water level, and a faulty repair due to a leaky boiler, which was made a few days earlier. In 1888, a St. Louis resident named William Streeter claimed that his former business partner Robert Loudon made a deathbed confession of having sabotaged Sultana by a coal torpedo. This is just a theory, though. We don't know for sure. Loudon, a former Confederate agent and saboteur who operated in and around St. Louis, had the opportunity and motive to attack it, and may have had access to the means. Thomas Edgeworth Courtenay, the inventor of the coal torpedo, was a former resident of St. Louis and was involved in similar acts of sabotage against Union shipping interests. Supporting Loudon's claim and eyewitness reports, the piece of artillery shell was observed in the wreckage. Loudon's claim is controversial, however, and most scholars support the official explanation. In 1992, a local archaeological expedition uncovered what was believed to be the wreckage of Sultana. Blackened wooden deck planks and timbers were found about 32 feet under a soybean field on the Arkansas side about 4 miles from Memphis. You're probably wondering, it sank in the river, so why is it 32 feet under a soybean field? First of all, the ground level rose. It didn't stay the same height. And the Mississippi River shifted. Sorry. So supposedly the Sultana's wreckage is 4 miles from Memphis. And the Mississippi River has changed course several times since the disaster, and the main channel now flows about 2 miles east of its 1865 position. So therefore, that soybean field being there wasn't there in 1865, so it just sank, and the soybean field kind of filled over. So that's the story of the Sultana. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe, please. Sorry. And if you would like to leave a comment for video idea, those are always welcome, which I've said several times, but I'm sure for my new viewers you probably haven't heard it yet, so I'll say it again. But just leave a comment for, video ideas. I have plenty right now, but more ideas are welcome. I hope you guys, I probably have enough to get me up until Christmas. Probably not more than that, maybe a little bit less, but sure I'll find some ideas. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and have a good day. Bye.